Creativity in progress. In progress.
Last time on CiP.
Some blacksmith had a fetish. Nerves with the melanin. Otis East.
What is it called? Like a clickbait.
Most serial killers have mother issues.
Jamie Foxx in The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
For me, these days to put my faith in anyone.
People.
Yeah.
Especially like when you find out about the writer for Rurouni Kenshin.
Yo,
him?
fuck. He's a pedophile.
Oh,
Yeah, old pedophile.
jeez, you went right to the heart. Goodness.
Yes.
There is nothing. Also, I love the idea of us opening the show talking about Let's just, yeah.
There it is. You know,
there you go. There you go.
Them's the facts.
If you didn't know, if you didn't know.
As a little star goes across the screen, now you know.
The more you know.
The more you know.
Yes.
Jeez.
Send the rainbows and stars.
Right. The same ones he used to lure kids into his van, apparently.
Oh.
But to continue, and I think Ari will appreciate this, and then we can get off this topic. Talking about the previous person, the artist who had come out and fully admitted that he had done these things and everything. One of the content creators in Magic is the professor at Tolarian Community College. He straight up, like every video he has done since, every time he mentions his name, he says self-admitted sexual harasser Noah Bradley. And
thank you.
He just it just shocked me. I was like, whoa, Prof is going for the jugular on that one. And he's done it ever since, like, you know, because every now and again they have to bring him up because because the way Magic does their printing, this stuff all came out in the middle of summer, but they print like months in advance. So his work is still going to be featured in the products until February.
Unavoidable.
In Wizards' defense, they came in and Wizards of the Coast, that make the card game, they came in and they basically were like, they were like, yeah, no, we've cut ties, but because of logistics until February, you'll be seeing this stuff. Sorry, So anyway,
Yeah.
No, I got you. And and Otis, I wanted to just officially welcome you to the show, because that is 90% of the content is Nate spewing about Magic the Gathering and Wizards.
I have been good. I have been very good.
Fair, Ethan, he has not mentioned Magic for like 6 weeks now, and
yes,
and
fair,
only
fair.
For as far as I know you guys have another show, but like
we do.
He's been pretty good.
I will tell you, he does mention our other shows too.
I'm going to research this.
Sir, you are essentially my work husband now, so I have no problem with you mentioning your mistress, which is Magic the Gathering, to me. But I just wanted to officially...
Your work husband? Is that what you said?
Yeah, it's 2020. Yeah. It's 2020, Otis. But
take out the trash sometimes. God.
Here we go.
He's your Bruno Mars.
Do you want me to? I can go. If you gotta have a fight, I can just. I can go.
Here we go. Fighting for the kids. But
Not
all
in
that
front
was
of the
just
guests,
Otis.
Okay?
Yes. Otis, you're no longer a guest.
Yeah, I don't feel like a guest anymore.
No, you're family. Now that you've seen Nate's true colors, you're family. And speaking of true colors, segue, I don't even know what that means. We are going to, of course, tackle part 2 of our story. We don't have an official title, and now we're just calling it kind of essentially the Mama Boy murders, something like that, just to keep it put in perspective. But did you guys have the first thing that came to my mind was trying to think of with this? Sometimes the best stories, they save the actual confrontation between the hero and the villain for the very, very end, where it's the protagonist is kind of trying to track down the baddie, and he doesn't actually see him to the very, very end. Sometimes it's fun where they do cross over or intersect, and they don't even know that they're like. It'd be kind of interesting if we had it that our elf character crossed paths directly with the hobgoblin, but had no idea who he was in front of him. Let's think about that. That's the first thought I had was just their confrontation.
Yeah, like shit. What was the film that did that recently that I saw? Never mind. Ignore me.
I mean, we can go with the typical trope that the hobgoblin or whatever we're calling the villain guy. What were we calling him? The Mads got the Mads. What was it called?
Mads.
Mads McGoblin.
Mads McGoblin.
Yeah, I just nicknamed him Mads like after Hannibal.
I know, Mads. I know. I know.
You can call him whatever you want. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with Mads Goblin. I like that for right now. But we can have it so like the Mads Goblin is the person that actually brought him onto the case. Go with that typical trope. That's never bad.
Oh,
so
maybe he sees what our main character is doing and is like, I can like fend him off, but only if I pretend to assist him.
You know what you're doing. You know what you're both doing. I know what Ari's doing.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about.
She's transparent.
What are we doing?
So for Nate, who does not know about this, there is an anime / manga called Death Note, and this is a very similar situation where she knows you can't see it, but she's saying chucks to herself in Virginia. The situation is that
Cut me out.
that the main baddie, Light, spoilers for Death Note, the main baddie, Light Yagami, more or less gets as close as humanly possible and works on the case with the main detective, L. There's a part where they're literally living in the same building and they're seemingly chasing after the same leads to try and track them down. And Light, the bad guy, Light, does this on purpose so that he can keep an eye on L and misdirect him, that kind of stuff. And L is smart enough to realize that he probably is, in fact, he's like 95% sure that Light is the bad guy, but he can't definitively prove it. So he works with him. But I see what Ari's going with, and Otis too, since he brought it up. The idea that the hobgoblin is smart enough to realize the best way to keep this one person who's on his scent somewhat from stopping him is to kind of misdirect him or befriend him or what have you.
So I had a thought, and I think this might play into that a little bit. So we talked about how the bad guy is using this spam essentially to draw people in. The way our main character discovers it is it's through essentially one of their marks getting taken by this guy.
Yeah.
So he starts down this path and to chasing after this guy. And I'm thinking, and deep cut, Cloak and Dagger. In Cloak and Dagger, there is there's the kid and there's this game shop owner that this kid is really close with. Now in Cloak and Dagger, it goes a different direction. But in my thought is, what if the goblin was the game shop owner?
Right. I see what you're going with that. Yeah.
And so he goes to him and he's confiding in him saying like, oh, geez, this guy took my mark. Like, do you have any ideas? And this guy's like, yeah, it was me, but I'm not telling you that. And tries to keep it. And then also that kind of plays into the tropes that he's he's kind of also like a dreg of society-ish kind of thing and kind of nerdy and kind of whatever. And they kind of connect. Like that's,
No, I love that a little bit more than anything I was thinking of, because another thought I had, not to backpedal too much, was if we go full noir detective with this story, we don't necessarily have to know who the murderer is until the end. We can say that reveal until the main character figures it out as well. So we can see the actual silhouette as he's doing these things in the park and whatnot, but we don't actually need to know. Sometimes the best murder mysteries, they save the actual murderer reveal until the very end.
Right.
So
but I think if we do that, I think we should, lay the breadcrumbs so that the viewer could figure it out if they wanted to, if they were like following along. Because otherwise it's very Deus Ex Machina. I would prefer to avoid that.
No, I agree. It's very much planting payoffs in breadcrumbs. Yeah, I agree. But that would be a good way to set it up, essentially, too, Nate.
We can have it so the essential game shop is in the forest.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
He ends up triangulating like the people that get captured or whatever back to the shop.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. If not directly in the forest, at least very close to it.
Yeah.
That's how he's able to like.
Hmm.
That's how he's able to have
Like on the
close
outskirts
access.
leading in.
Right, yeah. You're on the
Exactly. That's
outskirts,
exactly what I was gonna say. Is like maybe have it be on like maybe there's a mall or some kind of thing just right off from this park, because we're saying it's like a Central Park-ish type thing. There's shopping and stuff around Central Park, so just having it there, that way it's kind of a convenient place for him to work, and then at night he
goes into the park, right?
yeah goes in
And he has unlimited access to victims too. There's so many people that are constantly so much foot traffic or whatnot. So yeah, that works. I like the idea that you had as far as him it being essentially someone he confides in or a friend, someone he would never suspect. But as Ari mentioned, having the breadcrumbs be pretty consistent, having the certain little things that, as he's talking to his friend, a game shop owner, as he's talking to the game shop owner, like about these things, we can actually see that almost on some level, there's a hobgoblin's gears are turning his brain as far as like he's could suggest certain things to kind of almost mislead him, or even that could be one of my favorite conversations in any kind of detective story is where there's one where it's all like subtext, where the two characters where one character is pretty much saying everything but saying nothing, as far as like, well, of course a person, if they were so inclined, that felt that the society was just a mess, that there needed to be some way to purify them or just kind of thin them out. It's a kind of it's almost like he's not admitting that he is the killer, but he's saying enough things that, as you think about it, it's like, yeah, that guy seems oddly suspicious. So it's kind of leading up towards those scenes essentially.
I got an idea. What do you guys think about this? Adding on a layer to the spam, right? So you go through, like, you start seeing the messages that apply to you, that make you keep scrolling through the spam, and you finally get to this a game. It's a not a phone game, so I guess it's like the visor game. That's what ends up leading you to the lair, essentially. Since you'll still be walking through the park, like you'll finally get all the way down through, get to the game, and the game the game always ends with you walking into the lair.
So it's like like a modern day almost labyrinth game, because essentially these people are led there because they're following their fantasies, that they're trying to meet up with their dead lovers or children or whatnot. So they're following this game, and the game's like saying, if you keep doing this or take another step, you'll get closer to the person you're after. And congratulations, you solved the riddles, or you
congratulations, you won.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Wouldn't it?
And then if we do that, go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, maybe having the game be like, as when you said that, I thought of like Pokemon Go, like have it be something.
Yeah.
Keep it topical.
And but like that's what leads them there, because like that game, you have to be physically in a certain place, so there you go.
And you do see it. You literally.
Yeah, it's very ARGE.
Yo, what if we adjust it? What if we adjust it to just being that, there's a game that you play in that forest, like a visor game, and then you get the spam from looking into trees in the forest. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
Like that's how you get on the because you like a side quest or something like that in the game,
right?
And then you start seeing the things like the messages that pertain specifically to you, like we were saying before. Same process, but it's literally. Like, that's why people are coming at all these times to play this game.
Well, what if we doubled down on that, as far as opposed to it being like a random copyrighted Pikachu or whatnot, if it was actually what they were seeing, as opposed to catching a Pokemon, they were catching their loved ones or their fantasies. Like they literally saw that there, and they were trying to catch that person. They were running after them or whatnot. It could be maybe a different type of game that got them to the forest, and once they were in the forest, they saw the person they loved. They were chasing after them. The same way you try to catch an actual Pokemon, they're trying to catch their actual loved one or whatever it is they're after, essentially. And that directly leads them into the cove. The person that say, for example, if you're a father who's lost their child, your child runs directly into the cove, and the person runs in directly in the cove behind him, and that's kind of how they die.
Mhm.
Yeah, I like that because I like almost having it be where instead of where the bad guy, the Mick Goblin,
That's
essentially
his name, Mads McGoblin. Yeah,
Mads McGoblin, he essentially hacks the game to make it where like most people are playing it don't see it, but then he's able to target specific people in it and create like in the AR, like seeing these things, which then and then there's also the magic piece too in that.
I got it. Okay. So what if the game essentially works like Pokemon Go, but instead of like catching Pokemon, you're catching spirits, right? Like it's like kind of like Shaman King, but Pokemon. I don't know if you guys even know what Shaman King.
Yeah,
I mean, I do, but they don't.
And would they? I guess like the Goblin guy starts like seeing trends in the ghosts that people pick up, like oh, you like the cute ones, like now let's delve into your mind a little bit, like oh, you like the cute ones because your little sister passed away or something like that, like and then they show the spirit of that person that they're missing or whatever, and then they start trying to follow that spirit, and then that's how they end up getting captured basically.
That makes perfect sense. Yeah, I love that. And I think that what's fun about that too is it kind of dovetails into our protagonist, our hero, because that's kind of he does a similar con or spam system to get his victims as well. He tracks, uses the algorithms to figure out what people like, so that he can spam them to get them to buy certain things or to get into their accounts or whatever it might be. And that's also how he's able to pick up on the trail of this other Mads McGoblin, because he sees that someone else doing a similar thing. Someone is using a similar kind of code, but it's something that's this system is so elaborate, and so the algorithms are things that people just don't pick up on. You almost had to be a genius in order to figure it out, which is why he's the only one that can deduce it. And of course, if we establish also that it'd be kind of fun if there's an earlier scene, much earlier in the story or the movie, where we see Mads at the game shop talking with Shamik, and the two of them both establish how they're the smartest ones, they're the smartest guys around. They may even literally playing like a Digimon or a Pokemon type of game with each other for fun, establishing that they actually are on the same level as far as competing with each other. And that way, later on, as the game evolves to one tracking the other in a cat and mouse situation, or trying to figure out how to both of them trying to spam other people, it makes sense that they're on the same level. So at the end, like Ari said, when the reveal does happen, it doesn't come out of nowhere. It's like, yeah, we should have almost realized that from the very beginning, that these two were against each other the whole time.
Yeah, I like that. And I think obviously the obvious difference is, like he's using it to, just, cheat people out of a little bit of cash. This guy's using it to kill. And I also think it would be interesting to, one of the seeds we could drop is, because you mentioned that they both play the game. What if it is they both play this game? Like, let's say like it's this game that they play, and when they're kind of comparing notes at the beginning, they are, they're talking about like, oh, well, I've got this many. Oh, well, I've got this many. And one of the things we can plant to show that, okay, maybe this guy, this game shop owner isn't on the level, is how pissed he gets that the main character is beating him. So, so that way it's like there's this like friendly rivalry, but when the rivalry gets where he's losing, the game shop owner's like, motherfucker, I think that would be interesting.
Yes, I just to piggyback on that real quick, is A, to show that he gets really, really mad when he loses, and B, to show that he will use any method necessary to win. He seems a bit more devious, or a little like willing to go outside the rules, essentially sometimes trying to win. Not full-blown cheating, but seems like methods that seem more extreme. But we're obviously easing into this idea. We don't show all this up front, but easing into the idea that because he can even have a comeback where he goes periodically into that shop talking to him about certain things and talking about the games or whatnot. And we're just kind of slightly planting the idea that he is more extreme with his methods and kind of a little more unhinged at times than our protagonist seems.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's a good idea. It's a good idea, Nate.
Should we try to sort of, if that's, I mean, it seems a little obvious to me that he would be the bad guy if he's like the only person there who is like put under suspicion. So should we have a red herring, or should we make it?
Oh, we should probably have several.
Yes, I was gonna say that if it's a game shop, there's gonna be several people there playing games. You probably actually have. It almost makes more sense to have someone else that seems even angrier.
Yeah. I was gonna say, and we were talking about this before we started streaming, about card games, and it's kind of a known thing in card games, like game shops and stuff, that there's usually a patron or two who isn't the best at showering and gets very angry when they lose and that sort of thing. And it kind of could potentially be something where there's a person like that everybody knows, and like the game shop owner's like, well, that's just Bill. Bill's just an asshole. But our main character is like, but I'm thinking, and it kind of, he ticks all the boxes, so he's going after Bill, and the game shop owner's like, you know what, maybe it is Bill, to try to get him off the scent.
Of course. Well, that's the best part too, is if like Ari suggested, making going full balls deep with the red herring, if they actually have it that the real killer seems completely unlike what you'd expect. Like, he's very clean, like almost OCD level clean, as opposed to what most hobgoblins are very dirty and smell. He's very, very, very punctual. He's always very tidy. Seems very mild mannered, very calm, collected. And this other person kind of always smells bad. Almost seems like a goblin. So as Shamik is putting 2 and 2 together and starts to deduce that it must be coming from the game shop, the most likely candidate actually would be Bill. And of course, that's why it's not him. It's actually Mads behind the counter.
Yo, I mean, since this is a fantasy, why don't we set it up so, like, the Bill essentially is literally a goblin. Like, he's actually a goblin.
Yeah.
And the shopkeeper, or the game shopkeeper, he's a high elf. Like, he keeps that persona of high elf.
Yeah.
But, like,
because he's deals with illusions.
Yes.
And stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Yeah.
Yes. So it could be that he presents that he does a spell where he looks like a really nice, pretty high elf, but in fact, in reality, he actually is in fact a hobgoblin.
Yeah.
And Bill is just a hobgoblin. He's not putting on any airs. That's just what he is. Yeah. That's a good idea. I like that.
Yeah,
I like that a lot.
That. Yeah.
Because that's getting back to what we said in episode 1, where they do our main character. Mads does use real magic, and even though it's not present that much, most people don't use it. He does, so no one suspects anyone of not being what they appear to be, because no one thinks anyone really uses magic anymore.
Yeah,
makes sense. Okay, very cool. The other thing we were, I guess, was we don't have to get into too many details, but we hadn't talked about too much, was just the mom. So Mads isn't killing them. We established he is, I guess, killing them, but he's bringing them to his Shelob style mom. So the mom, I guess, is also is she in fact a hobgoblin, or is she a different kind of fantasy creature? And is she the one that's actually murdering them once they get lured in there, or is Mads murdering them and just kind of tossing the meat to her? What's the?
I think it should be. I personally think it should be that she's killing. Like, he's leading them, because there's part of me that kind of wants us to have at least a little bit of sympathy for McGoblin, because I think there needs to be a little bit of feeling like, yeah, he's still a horrible being for doing this, but he's kind of being forced into it, because he was, like, I kind of like that idea. So I think it should be like almost like maybe he's like the type of like half goblin, like he's half goblin, half, spider creature or whatever. Maybe that's why he has to do the elven thing, because maybe he doesn't look like a normal goblin. He looks, bizarre in some way. So he's trying to hide that. So he just picks high elf because that's what he wishes he was.
Okay. Yeah. I like the idea of him being ostracized by both.
I like it.
Both sides. Like, he's not welcomed by either race, essentially. So yeah, I like that. And it could be the same thing with their, that could be the motive. If we're going to give these serial killers motive, that's what his mom is too. His mom actually because of their appearance or because they appeared, whatever reason, the different races ostracized them and kind of shunned them away from. They had no place to go, and so in retaliation, she basically became a murderer and killer and everything. And he was dragged into that life because that's his mom. He had no other choice. Yeah,
I like that.
I also like the idea too of it being the way that Goblin sees it is this kind of, he's still playing a game, or he's able to. For him, this is the ultimate game that he's playing, and he finally has a real opponent now with Shamik.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like the idea of it where, well, I mean, if he, stopped and took a look at what he was doing, it would horrify him. So the only way he can really accept what he's doing is to view it as a game.
Right.
Yeah.
I actually had a completely different idea that I wanted to run by you guys to see what you guys think.
Sure.
Okay.
All right. So what if we set it up so the shop, so this game, well, what could have been around for a while, it's this universe's equivalent of Pokemon about how big it is, and maybe the shopkeeper is one of the top level people in the game, so that's why this queen creature, whatever we're gonna call her, the mother, whatever it is, she tracks him down because of that and basically curses him. So puts so he is actually a high elf, but she curses him to being a goblin or something like that. You know what I'm saying? And basically to get that curse. We can keep them related. We can. I really don't have any concrete plan for that part. Maybe his mom was it can still be his mom, and maybe she was one of those really bad moms, and he got away from her and became basically this famous player in this game or something. So she came back around trying to get money and stuff. He basically brushed her off, and then she just decides to curse him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
as you do.
Like as horrible mothers wanting to do. Yeah.
Like you do.
I do like the idea that the mother does, like you said, because Nate had the idea that he was beholden. And we are dealing with magic. So why not have it that this character, Mads, really is a true victim. He doesn't want to do this, but he was cursed, literally cursed, that he has to do this. And essentially, if he doesn't do this, his real form might take shape, or it works where it does start to take shape. And he has to be, the only way he can be cured from it is when he delivers these bodies to this mother.
Oh, so if he doesn't deliver the bodies, then he can't maintain the elven form.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, I like
Something
that.
like that.
I like that.
Something like that. Yeah.
We do have a question from the chat. What are the social norms for mixed breeds? Do they get bullied by society, or is this world more progressive and integrated? That's from Zerusam.
Very good question.
Denzel, he wants to come on to the show. Actually, I gotta. He's I don't know if you remember him from on the podcast. He's the one that was on your side.
He was like, how can I possibly forget Denzel? Yeah, he's my partner. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good question. Question.
My first thought was, if we're kind of elves, as we've established, can be assholes, the most elitist people. That's what tends to be them in the Tolkien world. Anytime you deal with elitist, purists, they want pure breed, pure blood. So for elves, they really, really condemn and look down upon anyone that gets into mixing with the races. Other people may be more progressive, and other races, like the Hobbit type folks or whatnot, may not care as much. But elves, because elves are so pure-blooded mentality, they do care a lot. And I guess the idea maybe you could have in the backstory, the background, that the mother somehow she fell in love with. If the mother is a high elf, but she may have fallen for a like a goblin or something, and then she was ostracized from society for doing that, from her own people for doing that. And the kid, Mads, may actually be the one that's the hybrid, the half blood. And
she's basically black melanin.
Yeah, she's black melanin. They both were they were both shunned from society because of his birth, essentially, and she's blackmailing him.
And I do think, because I do like the idea that society, I actually think it works out even better if we kind of mirror current society where there are portions of society who try to be, progressive and integrated, and then there's also portions of society that refuse to because it's 2020 people anyway. But I think it's a good idea to have it mixed. But I also think, going back to the background story of the mother, I think the background story of the mother shouldn't be sympathetic. I think we should make it that whatever she did was horrible. But she's somehow guilting him. That, this is my opinion, because I'm really leaning on that thing of I want him to be a bad guy, but I want him to be a bad guy that we're kind of oh man, he was in a really shitty spot.
I get it.
Yeah.
You suck, but I get why.
Exactly. No choice. You want her to be the real bad guy and him to be
I want him to be the pawn, essentially.
The pawn.
And I like the idea of her manipulating him and forcing him to do these things so that way he can maintain this form that he wants to maintain. But I think the background story for her, whatever it was, be it that that she did fall in love with this other creature, but maybe it wasn't in love. Maybe it was a situation of pure, a power move of some sort that just didn't work out in her
politics.
Favor. Yeah.
Yes, I see what you're saying. Yeah, and that works. And for the fun of it, we can leave some of that unknown. Just the idea that it's a sins of the father or sins of the mother, and that's where Mads comes in. Mads was dealt this hand. He could be of mixed background, mixed race, what have you. And he looks a little bit different naturally. Not even necessarily ugly or bad, but the curse, like Otis said, he was cursed in a way by his own mother, and because of that, he has to do this in order to be in society anymore. That works. Now, I did have an idea that can go that you guys might like or you guys might detest. So I'll say it once, and then we can move on. What if we do make this somewhat of a story of redemption, as opposed to going full blown Mads McGoblin versus Shamik? We have it that it is very much like that, but essentially because Mads doesn't want to work for his mother, because Mads doesn't like the idea of killing, he's trying to make this as a game. Essentially, and because Mads and Shamik are friends, once Shamik does realize what's going on, once Shamik down the road figures out, actually stumbles upon the code, actually is right there, figures it out, Mads and Shamik, together, the two of them devise a game to trap this Shalab queen, because she could be a super high, powerful, magical high elf. And alone, Mads and Shamik don't stand a chance against her. But together, they can devise a game and do something to actually beat her.
I like the idea, but I don't know how y'all feel about this, but I don't think it should be that far. I don't think it. I personally like the idea of Mads being the one to
just have Mads do it.
Yeah, we'll have it be where our main character, our protagonist, comes up with a plan. Not sure what that is yet, to do it, and he does it with thinking that he's going to be up against Mads and Mads' mother. And as they're fighting, he basically, or as they're doing whatever they're doing in the climax, he basically pleads and says, I know this isn't you. I know this isn't, what you want, blah, blah, blah. And then it's Mads that pulls the lever, does the thing that then destroys, so that it's works, kind of like a,
Yeah, simplify it. Yeah. That works. Oh, Otis. We lost Otis.
We lost Otis.
Whoa.
Oh, he's still there. Okay.
That's...
Don't
he
know what
hated
happened
the
there.
idea so much that he
I told you I'm sorry. We can move on. I can change. I'll get better. I promise. It's a one-time thing.
It's cool. Hold on. I need to.
Give me a second.
I need to.
I don't know. I might have to leave the call and come back because it's not letting me turn my camera. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay.
There you go.
You're back. Now let's make sure.
Sorry.
No,
totally fine.
Okay.
Totally fine.
You good? No, yes,
Right,
Nate.
cool.
I'm on board. I'm on board with that. The idea that the real struggle, ultimately, because I like the idea that they are friends. They make that friendship mean something, and then ultimately, McGoblin does take a stand against his own mother, and it may be that we don't even see whether or not he survives. It may be something he pulls the lever, gives Mishimik a chance to get out of there with the I guess the remaining people that haven't died or been killed or whatnot, if there are some. And then we don't know definitively if Mads survives or is able to what happened. But it does seem like a noble, selfless sacrifice. So.
Yeah, I really like the idea, but I like it that it would be sort of a Darth Vader type redemption where it's at the very end and it's not easy and it probably costs him his life, though we don't really know. Because I think I like it better as a bittersweet type of thing.
It has to be bittersweet. Yeah. I mean, we're already in a noir. It's a dark. Noir literally means dark, so it's a dark story. And even the struggle it's still his mother. So it's not easy to. I mean, we all have parents, or hopefully we have parents or had parents or whatnot. And it's if our parents do something we don't like, it's still hard for us to just turn on our parents or forget them. It's that bond goes really deep. So it's still a struggle to get Mads McGoblin to officially turn on her in the end.
Yeah. I like that idea as well. I think it's that in fact that's kind of what I was envisioning is that like it was a whatever action he does at the end is an action that will stop his mother and kill her, but also probably kill him as well. So it's that's kind of what I was thinking was like maybe it's a thing where like there's maybe her weakness of some sort is something that like I can't think of it. Maybe it's like a fire thing or something that he just pulls a lever and it essentially engulfs the place in flames. The only thing is that if we do this, he needs to say I'm on top of the world, Ma. That's all.
Jeez,
you said, dude.
Really?
Nate,
sorry, had to get that Cagney reference in there. So
for those of our listeners and viewers that don't know what Cagney is, good. It's way before your time.
Who Cagney is?
All I was gonna say was we got to remember the genre we're in. We're in fantasy, dark fantasy, apparently. So it's a spell. What actually happens is Mads knows a spell that's essentially his mother's weakness, her kryptonite or whatnot. But the spell
he's like the only one who would know.
He's the only one that would know. But also the spell isn't in Harry. I know it's in Full Metal Alchemist, the law of equivalent exchange. But it could be, I think it's something in Harry Potter too, where in order to do a certain spell, it's like a certain sacrifice you got to make. So in order for Mads to pull off this spell, he essentially has to sacrifice himself to do it, to stop her, or at least on some level do it. So so it's maybe that you see him like cutting himself open in his own blood is actually able to use to make this binding spell or something on her. And Shmiek's like, you can't do this. This will kill you. And he pretty much like blasts Shmiek out and starts and keeps doing the ritual, the spell against his mother to pretty much shut things down. So I see it as being some kind of magical way he's able to stop.
What if we since Mads is essentially a hacker too, what if we put it like as a breadcrumb of codes he puts for our protagonist like in the game, like along the way, like at some point, like let's say like this is after we figured out that Mads is the Goblin, and we're going like for the final confrontation. And Mads is aware that he's been found out at this point, so he just starts leaving little like hacker bits somewhere, and it like he puts it together into a spell that maybe like sacrifices Mads and the queen or whatever. We can toy around with exactly what the details are, but that's the gist.
No, I like because on a deeper level he wants us to stop too.
I also kind of like the idea. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Nope, I was just there's just a lot here that's really cool. That's like a commentary on abuse and wanting to be saved and not really being able to do it yourself. And I just really like that. And that's all. Go ahead.
Well, what I was gonna say is that I like the idea of so our main character comes up with this plan, is going for it. They discover the Mads thing. There's the dropping of the hints, which confirms that, oh yes, this is really my buddy McGoblin. Oh my God. He goes in, he's trying to take them out. He's trying to be like, I'm sorry, I've got to stop this. And as they're going back and forth, Mads at some point, and it's the turn, he goes, okay, and then basically says to him, yeah, and just so you know, your plan never would have worked. And then he turns around and ends his mother.
Yeah.
So basically he's
yeah.
Right.
everything you were going to do was a gigantic waste of time. I've got this.
Yes.
And then he goes and ends it.
But also I think
and then he wins at the very end.
But that could be his that could, as opposed to him making a Cagney reference from the 20s, he could simply say something like whatever his catchphrase is when he wins games. Old people, am I right? It could be something like
I don't even begin to heard of what that is.
What he said, Noir. It's from a movie.
Was.
It was from a movie. It was a noir movie.
What's that? But that wasn't Scarface. He was in the original Scarface too. But
no. This it was in it was called White. Was it White Heat? No, not White Heat. It was, but it was James Cagney.
There's a fire behind him.
Yes, James Cagney played a mama's boy, and in the movie, his serious mama's boy, and his mother gets killed near the end in the climax, and so he goes out in a blaze of glory, and as he's going out, he's going, "I'm on top of the world, ma!" And you mentioned noir, and that's why I said that we need to do that. So, Ethan made me do that. I just want everybody to know. Ethan made me do that.
Sure, I believe you.
Thank you for that tangent. But all that just to say that he could, if as opposed to that amazingly topical and relevant catchphrase, he could say something that every time Mads wins a game, he says something. Like it could be better luck next time, even something as basic as that. And he looks at his mom as he's doing the spell and says, better luck next time, or something like that to her as he finishes off the spell to kill her, essentially. So pretty much the idea that the ultimate game he's been playing was with his mom. And he finally beat her.
I like that.
Just tossing it out there.
I do too.
And by the way, it was White Heat. It was released in 1949. Anyway,
White Heat.
1949.
1949. So you were wrong. It wasn't the 50s, sir.
It's noir.
Yeah, but see, well, and but that's the thing. Like, I love stuff like that, and like, you know, I said it as a joke, but I love when movies do stuff like that, where they throw in little hints. Like, if you're doing like a noir like this, throw in something a little bit like that. Maybe, you know, have it maybe that he has White Heat, you know, on his shelf or something like that.
Sure.
You know, just that's fun stuff I like.
Yeah, or call him a Cagney. His name could actually be
Easter
Cagney
eggs.
or whatever. Easter.
Yeah,
Easter
exactly.
eggs. That's the term for it. Yeah. There's plenty of. I mean, they could even be playing the game they play. Could be called White Heat or something.
Yeah, something like that
at the shop. But yeah, that's cool.
maybe not though. No.
Yeah.
Fine. We'll call it Digimon or we'll call it NBA 2K.
That's copyrighted.
Sponsored. Yeah, fine. We'll do that. But yeah, but that works. That works for me.
Just putting that out there.
Yeah, well, you know, we're in fantasy. We could do something like, you know, Elven Mon or something like that.
Elven Mon. Oh god,
Gotta catch them all.
Definitely.
I had Digimon, Pokemon, Elven Mon, Goblin Mon. We can go. Stick with the theme.
Good night, everybody. We're sorry. We apologize.
Yeah, totally.
We want to see you again.
I think just calling it the Ghost Whisperer will be less copyright infringement.
There's a show called The Ghost Whisperer too.
I know.
Even that's still better. Fair enough.
Oh man.
Fair enough. Well,
hey, I do the tech. Y'all come up with the names. Anyway.
Fair. Well, I think that is a pretty solid story. We got a story wrapped up there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So now is, again, as always, is my single favorite time of the week. It was my favorite time of the show, but I realized it's my favorite time of the week, which is getting into Ari's artwork. The one reason that everyone actually comes here. And Ari?
Yes.
So the characters that she's made are Mads McGoblin and of course Shamik. Shamik Lattimore is the High Elf's last name. I think last week we established that Mads looks like Ezra Miller 2020 or Ezra Miller 2019, which means even though we wanted him to, last week we wanted him to die because it looks like Ezra, but this week we want him to die as a noble sacrifice, so he still dies. And then our protagonist character is Shamik Lattimore, who's a cross between Shamik Moore and James Lattimore.
Jacob Lattimore.
Jacob Lattimore. And with glasses. And so it's and the characters look amazing. If you are not watching it right now on stream,
seriously,
please check us out so you can see what Ari has been up to. They are some of her best illustrations. I love them to pieces.
I love the hairstyles.
I gotta be honest,
awesome.
man. Like a lot of the ideas that I came up with was just looking at that art and just like kind of thinking like, man, like what would he do? What would he do in the movie?
Yeah, exactly. It feeds into itself. I love it. So,
that's awesome.
It makes me so happy.
It makes us happy to see them.
Yes.
Well, Otis, speaking of happy and seeing things, it made us extremely happy to see you. See, that wasn't a bad segue, Nate.
Nice job. Well done.
A broken clock's right twice a day, you know.
Well, again, as we fight in front of the kids,
That's for the guests, okay.
Otis East, it's been a true honor and pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much. Please don't be a stranger. Again, like we said, you are family, so you're welcome on the show anytime and every time. And again, thanks for all the ideas. Thanks for letting us be on as guests on NWM as well. Nerds with Melanin is a true honor.
Yes.
I'm glad to have you guys on here, man. It's nice to have this type of content. Like I would have never thought that this would be a thing, to be able to have someone draw that quickly and then like develop this type of story in an hour. Like it's an hour.
Yeah.
So that's impressive.
Well, thanks. We appreciate it. We appreciate it very much.
I do got to give myself a compliment because I've been playing NBA 2K this entire time.
But have you been winning the game?
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Your score is 100 to 5.
I've played 3 games. I haven't lost one. The closest one was me up by 20. So,
jeez,
damn.
God. Maybe you're a magician too.
Yeah, that's not me with sports games. With sports games, I put it on easy, and I have to put it on easy for me to have a chance to win the game. I put it on medium level, and I don't have a snowball's chance in hell. I'm the Browns, man. It just doesn't work. So
no, I mean, if I was playing Madden, it would probably be the same thing. I have a addiction to basketball, so I just naturally found ways to play this well.
Right on. But awesome. that is a hardcore nerd that can't stop playing video game to do something. You are official, sir. You are official. There was a couple of times where I know for a fact Ari was drawing while playing Breath of the Wild, and she played it off really well. She didn't reveal herself.
I do actually have 4 arms. I'm a mutant.
It's like, if you can pull that off, you have to stream it today. Play Breath of the Wild and draw? Stop it.
She's
my goodness.
She's really, really good.
Only a set of dice, a scroll of magical story elements, and a passion to create. Rolling for genre, setting, and character archetype, our storytellers Ethan, Ari, and Nathan weave a tale right before your very eyes. Stay a while and listen while we share our creativity in progress. Creativity.